think this van will do okay. It's the guy in front of him that I'm concerned with. Just lackadaisically turning. I don't trust that. Mach E does surprisingly well in the snow. Nice and cozy in the Mach E. Just can't see anything. And we made sure, although I can tell that it's dark enough that we've got our headlights on, I've actually reached down and physically turned on the headlight switch. Just to make sure that not only people in front of me can see me at full intensity, but people behind me have a chance to see me now. Really not that difficult, but the Mach E is actually really good with that feature where the setup of that light sensor is. It doesn't create a whole lot of false negatives, I guess you would say. Like, it's pretty accurate. When it's dark enough, the headlights are on. When it's bright enough, the headlights are off. And it doesn't, like when you go into quick tunnels, it doesn't really, trigger that light like my Ford Fusion, especially my Ford Flex. Every time you go under an underpass and turn the headlights on instantly. Not like that in the Mach E. But right now it's -4 with the windshield. It'll be more than -14, I would bet. And we're nice and toasty in here. It's all-wheel drive. Got a good set of snow tires on it. Really, really can't complain. With the Mach E too. Not that other vehicles can do this, but the Mach E was one of the first, especially in the Ford lineup of vehicles. It was the first. You can set the departure times. So what it'll do in the case of the Mach E, it'll warm up the batteries so that you get better range out of the batteries in the wintertime. That's when it's plugged into the wall. So it's using AC power to actually precondition the batteries is what they call it. But then it also conditions the cabin, so you can have it specifically set up to the exact temperature that you want. Do you want the steering wheel on? Do you want the heated seats on? You can pick how you want the air distributed. Do you want it on the windshield, on the defrost setting, so that you're melting everything? It's really quite ingenious and quite technologically advanced. And having the phone as a key wasn't the first in the Ford lineup, but it was, in the grand scheme of things, one of the first. That's full-on high beams, buddy. Holy, I'm seeing stars. It was one of the first. I think the Lincolns had it before that. Some Ford vehicles, you go in there and you could actually unlock the doors and start the car from your app, but having the phone as a key. We just got the notification that it doesn't want to focus. That front camera visibility is low and to clean it off. Yeah, I'd like to. Sure would like to. Yeah, there's quite a bit of ice on this road right now, and I don't feel unsafe at all. say that because it's not like a conventional vehicle where you've got the engine up front and then you have a gearbox, for a better lack of a word, that's taking that power and it's sending it to the front and back. The Mach E's actually got, and better lack of a word, an engine, but it's a motor, but they've got an engine at the front and an engine at the back. And what that allows is that the two fronts can work independently of the two rears. And you'll say, well, oh yeah, that's what limited slip diffs are and locking diffs and all that kind of stuff. And it's partially true, but it's not the same thing. It's just not. To have that control where basically, it's not basically, the front is fully independent from the rear. So you can split it right there. It just makes for a very, very good, accurate, and quick all-wheel drive system. Much, much better than my Ford Flex. I will say though, probably not as good as my Ford Fusion. And the only reason why I say that is the system in the Ford Mach E is definitely better. But with the weight of the Ford Fusion, that thing was a tank. To get that thing stuck with a good set of snow tires, even a good set of mostly worn out snow tires, you're getting that thing stuck. Everybody else has already been in the ditch for some time. That thing was just a monster when it came to wintertime. It just ate it up. And I don't know what the difference was, but it was the Ford Fusion Sport, so it had the 3.5 liter V6 and the all-wheel drive system from the Ford Edge and Ford Explorer. So that might have had something to do with it, but man, that thing was a monster. But basically what I was going to say about the Mach E is the Mach E, no problem getting up and going. Even in light turns, stuff like that, the all-wheel drive system just eats it up. The problem comes when you get into corners and you're going too fast, just like with any vehicle, but especially with the Mach E because of the extra weight. Now, the weight is down on the floor, so it's lowering the center of gravity, which helps, but I just find that if you go too fast into a curve or a turn, the Mach's, it's trying, but it's not getting out of it because it's just got too much weight. Jesus, buddy. What the hell? Is there somebody there? Oh, there is. Wow, so you'll notice that we were actually doing the speed limit and doing the speed limit with no issues. And now we're doing 51 and an 80. And I don't know why. Oh, I want to pass. I have to. And there we go. We're demonstrating the passing abilities in the Mach E. Sorry, that was absolutely uncalled for. You drive for the conditions, but if two people are driving the speed limit and one person isn't, who's the one that is not driving for the conditions, right? If you run into that, just simply pull over, pick a driveway, pull over, turn around, go home. It obviously isn't that important to you. But yeah, anyways, like, I just find that you could get out of trouble a little bit easier with some other all-wheel drive vehicles, but the Mach E you gotta watch because of that extra weight, and it's quite a bit. I can maybe post in the description what the extra weight is on this vehicle compared to a regular SUV of this size, but it's substantial. So that's what I find. And then obviously if you're carrying too much speed and you're trying to stop, there's a lot of extra weight that you're trying to hold down, right? You're trying to resist that inertia that you've built up because you've got that extra weight in that vehicle. Wow, I can hardly see anything. But yeah, like they're little gripes, right? Like it's understandable. You got that much weight, you can't expect that vehicle to perform miracles, but at the same time, the weight just helps you get going. Like you put the gas down and it just boom, you're gone. And the fact that the motors are front and back, that allows that independent control and really, you know, adjust what each wheel's doing compared to the conditions. It's great. Get in your lane, buddy. We've actually dropped a degree. We're -5 now, so -15 with the wind chill. Yeah, she's howling. Holy. Actually see a little bit in the small town here now, but I was suspecting that once we made that curve, went around the curve, that things were not going to be the same after that. And sure enough. And that's the other thing too with this wind, especially the Ford Flex. Now the Ford Flex was basically a toaster on wheels. Giant box. It caught a lot of wind, right? But it was also lower to the ground than a standard SUV. But in the wind right now, it would be blowing me all over the road. Like I'd be not struggling, but I'd be keeping my hand on the wheel, pulling against the wind to try to make sure that I stayed on the road. But the Mach E with that extra weight, wind doesn't really bother it. When you have oncoming traffic that goes past you like big trucks, it doesn't blow you around. We really noticed that when we were in that Nissan SUV, Nissan Rogue. You got shoved around pretty good, and then that Ford Bronco, God. Car and Driver, Motor Trend, all those articles were right. That Bronco is just like the biggest turd on the road, and you got blown around. It was noisy, it was bumpy. Do not go. I don't know what he's doing, but yeah, it was like riding in a Jeep, like an old army Jeep, you know. But it really made it stand out, the Mach E, compared to those two SUVs, both of which this thing is about the same size, especially the Rogue. The Bronco was a little bit boxier, a little bit more interior room, but same platform, same wheelbase basically on the two of them. You get driving the Mach E so much, you get used to it, and then you jump into another vehicle and you're like, this is what you're dealing with? This is what you have to drive every day? And I know that sounds like entitled or whatever, but it's just the truth. The Mach E is so smooth, so quiet, doesn't push you around the road. In the wintertime, it just takes off and goes. Just, yeah. Not enough good things to say about the Mach E. Just too many good things to say. Ford's done a great job. They've serviced them well. Yes, we've had a couple of hiccups. You can check that out on this channel. If you're looking for some tips and tricks, you're looking for how to jack up the vehicle. Maybe you want to put on a dash cam. You know, you want to paint your front brakes. You want to put some mud flaps on it. You want to put some rear gills and spruce the vehicle up. You want to modify it. Guess what? This is the place to do it. I'm the only one on YouTube that's providing content like this about the Ford Mach E. I'm the only place to find it. And yes, it might not be the most flashy content, but the information is huge. So please check it out. If you like this video and you want to see more of it, let me know. Like and subscribe. Would really appreciate it. Would really help me out as a content creator. And remember, you never know unless you bear. We'll see you on the next video.